是会影响到这个它的发挥，而且就是会，而且因为在今天的天气当中，其实一直都是在下雨和不下雨之间在交换，这个，所以我们这场比赛应该会非常的好看。Back to you guys.
Yes, when you get rain in motor racing, it does tend to throw things out the window. Any preordained plans tend to go by the wayside, and you just have to sort of feel your way through. Jack Doohan in pole position for this afternoon's race. Had a bit of a disappointing time this morning, finishing only down in 8th place, following a 2nd place finish in race 1 on Friday, where he narrowly lost out to Joey Alders. But Jack Doohan on pole position. And he's already had experience in the Asian F3 Championship, finished 2nd in the championship last year, just behind series champion Ukyo Sasahara, and also competed in the Asian Winter Series as well. So Jack Doohan has a good year's worth of experience racing in Asia. Still very young, only 16 years of age, son of the legendary multiple MotoGP champion Mick Doohan. But Jack clearly prefers 4 wheels to 2, and certainly his fledgling single-seater career is getting off to a very solid start indeed. There is Paul Wong in the number 44 car. He's in 13th place on the grid, one of the 2 drivers in the Masters category, along with Thomas Ludi. Most of the drivers here, young, up-and-coming drivers looking to make their way in motor racing, but Paul Wong and Thomas Ludi somewhat more advanced in years in the Masters category, and very much more here for the enjoyment purely of racing. There is the Italian driver Alessio De Leda down in 14th position. Little wave to the camera there. Mechanics and engineers off the grid now, and soon it'll just be the drivers and the cars ready for half an hour's racing around this Sepang International Circuit. 5.542 kilometers long, 15 turns, plenty of elevation change, and a very wide circuit. You can see there on your picture just how wide the circuit is, and that the width is somewhat exacerbated by the fact that these cars are somewhat smaller than some of the more advanced single-seater machinery that you might find in Formula 1, Formula 2, Super Formula. And it does mean that you can have an awful lot of cars going side by side. Earlier on this morning, we saw cars on the first lap going 5, 6, 7 cars abreast into the first right-hander at turn 1. Lots of overtaking opportunities here at Sepang, lots of long straights, tight hairpins, and it should be a very good afternoon's racing. It'll be the first time this weekend that we'll see the cars racing on slick tyres. Earlier on this morning, everybody on wet tyres, far too treacherous conditions to run on slicks, but the track has dried out quite considerably since then. No rain, no threat of rain at the moment, although in this part of the world you never know when the next torrential downpour is going to come, and it really does come very, very quickly indeed. Jack Doohan on the left, Ukyo Sasahara on the right, Joey Alders in 3rd position on the grid behind Jack Doohan. He'll be looking to make it 3 wins out of 3. Devlin De Francesco, the Canadian driver, is in 4th place on the grid, and he'll be hoping for a better showing after a poor race by his standards this morning. He qualified on pole but slipped back almost immediately, and the first couple of laps really lost places hand over fist and finished only in 9th position. So the Canadian driver De Francesco will be itching to put the record straight in race 3, and will hope for a better showing. Yu Kuai in 5th position on the grid, and Daniel Tsao in 6th place. So it's an all-Chinese row 5. Yu Kuai finishing in 6th place in this morning's race, and Daniel Tsao, of course, in 3rd after that titanic battle with Nikita Mazepin, who we haven't mentioned much just now, but it's worth mentioning him because Nikita Mazepin had a bit of a difficult qualifying session, and he is in fact last on the grid in 16th place. But we know he's a quick driver. He finished 2nd in this morning's race and was challenging Joey Alders for the lead. So it should be a lot of fun to watch Nikita Mazepin make his way up through the field from that 16th place on the grid. Right at the back on the right-hand side, as you look at it now, that is Nikita Mazepin in his distinctive red helmet. And everybody off the grid now. The cars will leave the grid shortly for the formation lap. There we go. The green light is on, the green flag being waved, and the cars will leave their grid spots for the formation lap now. And you'll see them weaving from side to side. Always important to get temperature into those tyres and into those brakes, and especially so when the conditions are as they are. Here we are, confirmation of the grid positions. Jack Doohan from Pinnacle Motorsport on pole. Ukio Sasahara, the Japanese driver, the reigning series champion, the number 11 alongside him on row 1. Then we have Joey Alders, the winner from race 1 and 2, alongside this morning's pole sitter, Devlin DeFrancesco, who is in 4th position on the grid today. Row 3 is Yu Kuai and Daniel Tsao, the 2 Chinese drivers. Yu Kuai with his distinctive Ayrton Senna-inspired helmet there. Row 4 is Yu Kanemaru and Jamie Chadwick, the British driver, the W Series champion, taking 8th place just ahead of the Japanese driver. Row 5 is the British driver Jake Hughes and Pietro Fittipaldi. Both drivers had a very disappointing time this morning, and I'm sure they will be itching to put the record straight and perform better this afternoon. 11th on the grid is Tommy Smith, and 12th is the Colombian driver Tatiana Calderon, who had a very good race this morning, finishing up in 4th place after qualifying down in 13th. Row 7 is Paul Wong, the first of the Masters drivers, and he's partnered on row 7 by the Italian driver Alessio De Leda. And then row 8, the final row on the grid, Thomas Ludi, the Swiss driver in the Masters category, and then bringing up the rear after a difficult session, Nikita Mazepin. And there he is now, Nikita Mazepin, the number 3 with that distinctive red helmet. And now watch for him coming through the field, because I dare say he'll want to make up for lost time. He will feel that he could have qualified much, much higher up the grid than 16th place. We know he's quick. He finished 2nd in this morning's race, finished 4th on Friday as well. And very experienced already in his career, even though he's only at the beginning of his career, just 20 years of age, already competing in the FIA Formula 2 Championship. So watch out for Mazepin making his way through the field. And certainly no immediate threat of rain. It does look as if it's brightened up here a bit in Sepang. Visibility was in pretty short supply this morning in some areas of the track, but it looks much, much better now. You can see for yourself just how much of a dry line that there is on the track now. Clearly dry tyres de rigueur for these conditions. No need for the treaded wet tyres. Looks like everybody is on the slick tyres and all weaving this way and that, side by side, desperately trying to get some heat into those tyres because they don't work very well when they're not at their optimum temperature. Jack Doohan on pole position. Ukio Sasahara in 2nd place. There is Joey Alders in the 23 car, the championship leader so far with a perfect record in this season's championship. 2 wins out of 2. And Devlin DeFrancesco in 4th place, looking for a better showing than this morning when he slipped down the order after qualifying on pole and ended up finishing down in 9th place. Then all the rest of the drivers coming through, and there, that man, Nikita Mazepin, in 16th and last place on the grid. There is Jack Doohan, your pole man, in the number 7 car. The Pinnacle Motorsport entry, just 16 years of age, but already with quite a lot of single-seater experience under his belt. A year's racing in this championship in Asia. He finished 2nd last year, and he'll be hoping to go one better and win this year's championship. But he's got a lot to do if he's going to reach that, because Joey Alders, the Dutch driver, now already stretching out somewhat of a lead, and he'll be looking for 3 wins out of 3. They're all lined up on the grid now. Everybody ready to go. We'll see the red lights go on, and when they go off, we'll be racing here in Sepang. The red lights are on and now off, and we are racing in Sepang, and it's a brilliant start from Jack Doohan. Look at that already. And Ukio Sasahara getting bogged down, and I wonder, I did say beforehand, I wonder if the cars on the left-hand side of the grid are going to suffer because the right-hand side was noticeably drier, and indeed, Jack Doohan got away much, much quicker than Sasahara, and Joey Alders from 3rd on the grid up into 2nd position as well. So Jack Doohan away into the lead, Sasahara in 2nd place, and who is in 3rd place? Sasahara not in 2nd place, excuse me, that is Joey Alders in 2nd place. Sasahara in the number 11 car. Now, where is he? Let's see where he is. He is in, well, that is the number 4, and there's going up the inside there, a little bit of contact. That is the number 2 car. That is Jake Hughes, and Jake Hughes and DeFrancesco, a little bit of Dodgem cars going on there. That is the 16 car there. Tommy Smith looks as if he's made up a few places, but Jack Doohan at the front still. Alders in 2nd place. In 3rd place, it is Yu Kuai. And again, Yu Kuai qualified in 5th place. So the The first, third and fifth placed qualifying cars are running first, second and third at the moment. So indeed it does seem that there was an advantage to be gained by starting from that side of the grid. Sasahara down in fourth place, and one of the, that is the number 33 car, Yu Kanemaru, just locking up there under braking. But they've all got through, not too much in the way of incident at the moment. As we look there at the battle, that is the number 2 car of Jake Hughes, showing in ninth position at the moment, with Daniel Tsao just behind him. So Daniel Tsao, another one of those drivers starting on the left-hand side who lost out. There is Sasahara in fourth place. Sasahara running in fourth position as they come round. This is the long back straight. Plenty of overtaking opportunities here, and the number 21 car of Pietro Fittipaldi looking a bit racy there, and the cars 3 abreast here. Oh, that's going to be a bit of a squeeze, but the number 5 car of Daniel Tsao making up some useful places there. And there is Daniel Tsao, but he's got to be careful now. He's got Jake Hughes all over the back of him. Jake Hughes getting in the slipstream of Daniel Tsao. Can he make the move stick as they go along the pit straight to start another lap? Jake Hughes on the outside, Daniel Tsao going defensive to the inside. It looks as if the Chinese driver has held it, but he's gone wide, and Jake Hughes goes up the inside and takes the place. So Jake Hughes up into 8th position. Daniel Tsao down to 9th place. Jack Doohan still leading. Joey Alders still in 2nd place, and Yu Kwai in 3rd position. Sasahara down to 4th. De Francesco in 5th place, and Tommy Smith up into 6th position as the 21 car of Fittipaldi going, or looking to go past the 16 car of Tommy Smith, and he's made it. Tommy Smith just going onto the grass a little bit there. That stunted his progress, and Pietro Fittipaldi up now into 6th position from 10th on the grid. A better race so far for the Brazilian driver after a disappointing fantastic battle for 2nd position in this morning's race. Mazepin just holding off Daniel Tsao in the closing stages of the race. Jack Doohan still sitting pretty up at the front. There he is. There's your race leader going around turn 15 now, with 1/3 of the race having gone, 2/3 still to go. And Jack Doohan really does look very comfortable indeed at the moment, with a gap of over 3 seconds between him and Joey Alders. Joey Alders, who won the first couple of races. I'm sure he would want his hat-trick. 3 wins from 3 so far in the 2020 F3 Asian Championship. But if he does end up giving best to Jack Doohan, then 2nd place will certainly do him very nicely indeed, and he'll head into the 2nd round in Dubai with a healthy lead already in the championship. There is Pietro Fittipaldi up into 6th position now, after having started in 10th place. The Brazilian driver having a better race than he had this morning when he finished way out of the top 10. So Fittipaldi in 6th place. He's got Yu Kwai ahead of him, and Jake Hughes just behind Fittipaldi in 7th place, and putting the Brazilian driver under some pressure now. There, Jake Hughes getting very close to Fittipaldi and going for a move up the inside and taking the Brazilian driver. So Jake Hughes now up into 6th position. Pietro Fittipaldi down into 7th place, and Nikita Mazepin, there he is, running a little bit wide there, but Nikita Mazepin will now have Pietro Fittipaldi in his sights. Fittipaldi probably in no mood to let Jake Hughes off that easily. I'm sure he'll want his 6th position back. But there we are, Jake Hughes taking the Brazilian driver as they go through the left-hander. Let's have a replay of the start now. Look how much more quickly the drivers on the right-hand side. There you see in 2nd position, Joey Alders taking Sasahara. And indeed, behind Sasahara there, De Francesco made it through into 3rd place as well. So Sasahara and all the drivers on the left, wetter side of the grid really losing out there. And that was most unfortunate for those drivers having to start on the left-hand side of the grid where it's wetter. But that's the luck of the draw sometimes, as Jack Doohan still in the lead, still looking very comfortable, getting his hands a little bit crossed up. One of the things I like about these F3 Asia Championship cars is that you can really see the drivers' hands working hard as they struggle to control the car, especially in slippery conditions. You can still, even though you've got that halo at the front there and a bit of smoke there from Joey Alders, he must have locked his tyres, maybe just snatched at the brake a little bit there. But anyway, Joey Alders still in 2nd place, clearly trying very hard. And Pietro Fittipaldi there just dropping back a little bit. He's now got Nikita Mazepin right behind him, and Jake Hughes has left and gone up the road a few seconds already. So Fittipaldi struggling a little bit for pace there, as again there Joey Alders locking his front right tyre, and he won't want to be doing that too much, because then he'll be in danger of flat spotting his tyres, and then that will affect the handling and the balance of his car. As we look at Ukio Sasahara up into third place now, so we didn't see it, but Sasahara up into third place. He's overtaken De Francesco, who had nabbed third place on the opening lap when Sasahara struggled for grip and dropped down to fourth place. There is Fittipaldi in eighth place now. So Nikita Mazepin, the Russian driver, up from 16th and last on the grid into 7th position now. So the Russian driver really having a good race here. Fittipaldi down into 8th. He was up in 6th place after having started 10th on the grid after making a good start, but he's lost a couple of places in the last few laps, Fittipaldi, and he's now got his mirrors full of Daniel Tsao, who's going around the outside, is he? Oh, they go side by side, and Daniel Tsao has made it past. So Daniel Tsao now up into 8th place. I wonder if Fittipaldi's in a spot of bother, because Daniel Tsao was able to drive all the way around the outside of him, and he's lost a few places now, down into 9th place. He's got Jamie Chadwick in 10th position now. Jamie Chadwick there, you see, just getting into the slipstream of Pietro Fittipaldi, and already pulling out and moving past the Brazilian driver, and that really was very easy indeed. I wonder if Fittipaldi's in some sort of trouble there, because I really don't think it would be normal for Chadwick to pass him so easily on the straight. Remember, this is a spec series, so everybody has the same chassis, everybody has the same engine, everybody has the same tyres. In theory, then, this is the purest test of just driving ability, because all the drivers have the same machinery. And Fittipaldi, unfortunately for him, not having a good race. And another one not having a good race is Paul Wong, who's clearly had a bit of contact somewhere, because he's lost his front wing. Well, it looks as if his front wing is lodged underneath the car. Now, he wants to be careful that doesn't get lodged underneath the front wheels, because if it does, he's going to be a passenger. He's not going to be able to turn the car or stop the car. I should think he'll be coming into the pits. He was on the back straight, so he should be coming into the pits to have that replaced. But Paul Wong obviously had a little bit of contact somewhere with somebody or something, because his front wing was hanging off there. There is Joey Alders, the second place man, as we look now at Jack Doohan, still sitting pretty in the lead with half the race gone and half the race still to go. Jack Doohan not been headed so far today, as yes, Paul Wong there coming into the pits. And let's see if his team can replace that front wing and get him out in time, as Doohan really going very quickly through those sweeping curves that really test the setup of the car, going through those fast left and right-handers there. And you can see the gap between Jack Doohan in the lead and the second place man, Joey Alders, as that is Pietro Fittipaldi losing another place, is he? And ooh, a little bit of a slide there. That is Tommy Smith, the Australian driver, getting a bit of a slide on, but again overtaking Fittipaldi, who's now down to 11th place, and he's about to lose another place because Tatiana Calderon is coming up the inside. Fittipaldi must be in some sort of bother, I think, because he's losing places hand over fist. Tatiana Calderon, the Colombian driver, now up into 11th place. But Fittipaldi staying out, he's not coming into the pits. So clearly whatever problem it is not terminal, but it's very much affecting his speed, because you can see just how much speed he's losing to Tatiana Calderon there, and indeed all the other drivers as they go on this straight. So Fittipaldi down into 12th place, and it's not been a happy day for the Brazilian driver so far, I'm afraid. As, well, that was Smith going very wide there, and Calderon almost having a look up the inside of turn one. Meanwhile, there is Jack Doohan carrying on his merry way, still very much in the lead and in control. Joey Alders, winner of the first two races, but clearly doesn't have an answer this afternoon, as Tommy Smith and Calderon going at it hammer and tongs now. Calderon going up around the outside there, and a very good move from the Colombian driver, going all the way around the outside of Tommy Smith. And And Calderon now making up 2 places in as many laps. The Colombian driver now into 10th place. Tommy Smith down into 11th. And Pietro Fittipaldi still circulating there in 12th place. And maybe getting a bit closer to Tommy Smith. So perhaps whatever problem Fittipaldi had earlier on, perhaps it's solved itself, because Fittipaldi doesn't look to be losing any more pace to Tommy Smith. It looks like he's closer than he was just a lap or so ago. This is the battle for 10th place. Calderon in 10th, Smith 11th, and Fittipaldi in 12th position, with 11.5 minutes of the race still to go. No rain, thankfully, this afternoon. All the drivers on slick tyres, as Smith going very wide, using all of the escape road there, and a little bit more sometimes. Jack Doohan still leading the race. Joey Alders still in 2nd place, and Ukio Sasahara in 3rd. Devlin De Francesco in 4th place. Yu Kwai in 5th. Jake Hughes in 6th, and that's a spin. And that is Alessio De Leda, the Italian driver, who was down in 13th position, but he's managed to keep it going. Just a little spin in that fast right-hand corner there. There he is, still in the race, still going, and still in 13th position by the looks of it. And there we see a replay. That was Smith going very, very wide around the right-hander. And, well, in fact, that was De Leda spinning almost immediately after Tommy Smith. Tommy Smith getting a little bit wide and getting a bit of a slide on, and Alessio De Leda going one better and then turning his car all the way around, but he's managed to keep it going. As we have a look at some lovely slow-mo action there, that is Calderon in the 25 car and Tommy Smith having their own private battle for 10th place. Jack Doohan still in the lead. A very convincing performance so far from young Jack Doohan, just 16 years of age. Came 2nd in last year's F3 Asian Championship, also competed in the Asian Winter Series that preceded that year's championship, and in 3 races managed to score 2 podium finishes. He's also competed this year in the Euro Formula Open Series, and in 2018 he was the top rookie in the F4 British Championship. So Jack Doohan, just 16 years of age. In fact, he turns 17 next month on January the 20th. And he's clearly a young man in a hurry. A lot of motorsport pedigree in his family, son of the legendary Mick Doohan, the 5-time MotoGP world champion. And Jack Doohan clearly deciding that his future is on 4 wheels rather than 2, and giving a very good account of himself here this weekend at Sepang. Another man giving a good account of himself is Joey Alders in 2nd place. There he is. And just behind him is Ukio Sasahara, the Japanese driver, in 3rd position. Last year's F3 Asian champion, Ukio Sasahara, just competing this weekend in Sepang as a guest driver. No plans yet for him to compete in the remaining rounds of this year's Asian Championship, but Ukio Sasahara in 3rd place, clearly enjoying himself again here in Sepang this weekend. As we look at Joey Alders really fighting that car. You see, I mentioned earlier about how you can really see the drivers fighting with the car, turning the wheel this way and that, desperately trying to stay in control. And Joey Alders, a very good example of that just then. Hard braking now down to the right-hander. Sasahara getting closer, under braking, but obviously getting further away as Joey Alders gets on the power earlier on the long straight. Here they go through the long sweeping left-hander. And this is Jack Doohan getting a little bit of a slide on again. And look at his front right tyre. There's a little bit of a line developing down the middle of that. I wonder if, well, these races are quite short, so we shouldn't see too much in the way of tyre wear, but it looks as if Jack Doohan's front right tyre is starting to cry foul a little bit there. But anyway, there he goes. The British driver still in 1st position with just over 7.5 minutes of the race to go. This, of course, race 3 of the 15-race Asian Championship 2020. Lots of points very much still up for grabs. But Joey Alders laying down a marker, winning the first 2 races. It looks as if he may have to give best to Jack Doohan here today, but Joey Alders still in 2nd place, and first, 2nd. is a very, very promising start indeed to the Asian Championship for the Dutch driver who races under the Hong Kong flag. There we see Daniel Tsao, and he's showing in 8th position at the moment, just behind Jake Hughes, the British driver, who competed in the FIA F3 Championship, placing 7th earlier this year. Also took part in the Macau Grand Prix last month. And Hughes in 7th position at the moment, just ahead of Daniel Tsao. There it is. That's the battle for 7th place. Jake Hughes in front of Daniel Tsao as they come across to begin another lap here at Sepang. And interesting to note, the lap times have slowed quite considerably. Jack Doohan's last lap at 2 minutes 11, and that is 9 seconds slower than his best lap. And all the drivers, nobody lapping faster than 2 minutes 10 that last lap. The fastest lap last time round, Nikita Mazepin at 2:10.0. And everybody lapping in the 2:10, 2:11 range at the moment. And everybody's fastest lap in the 2:2, 2:3, 2:4 range. So a lot of performance having been lost over the last few laps, and I wonder if that is the tyres just crying enough. We saw on that slow-mo replay of Jack Doohan's car a line sort of developing down the middle of his front right tyre, and I wonder if the last few minutes of this race are going to be dictated by who's managed to look after their tyres the best, because as the race goes on, these tyres are going to wear out and are going to degrade. And tyre management, of course, a very important part of motor racing. A lot of these drivers are still very young, still very raw, up-and-coming young drivers looking to gain experience as they work their way up the motor racing ladder. And one of the disciplines and one of the skills that you have to learn to manage is how to look after your tyres over long periods of time. It's all very well going quickly over one lap, but sometimes you have to go quickly over 60 laps and be nice and consistent and smooth. As well, that was Jake Hughes not being particularly smooth and consistent there, going very wide, and he's given Daniel Tsao an opportunity there, but the Chinese driver no chance to get up the inside of Jake Hughes there, who just looked a little bit untidy going through the S-bend there, but still holding on to his 7th place as they come up to the tight left-hander now. Nikita Mazepin ahead of them in 6th position, made up 10 places, started 16th on the grid. A good drive from Mazepin, some useful championship points for him, with 4.5 minutes of the race still to go, and the lap time still going slower and slower. Jack Doohan a 2:12 last time round, and that is 10 seconds a lap slower than his best lap of the race, which was a 2:02.7. There is Jack Doohan. But fortunately for Jack Doohan, it seems everybody else has slowed down by the same amount, because Joey Alders still some 6.2 seconds behind Jack Doohan in 2nd place, and Ukyo Sasahara very much keeping Joey Alders honest. In fact, Sasahara took 1.3 seconds out of Joey Alders on that last lap. The gap between them now less than a second, just over 0.6 of a second. And you can see how much closer Sasahara is now with 3.5 minutes to go. The Japanese driver maybe looking after his tyres a little bit better. Perhaps Joey Alders blistering his tyres a little bit too much early on in the race. And Sasahara, is he close enough for a little look? He has a little look there, darting to the inside, but not really close enough there. Goes to the outside. Joey Alders gets all sort of crossed up, and Sasahara spins. Sasahara spins as they go around the left-hander, and that, well, that's ruined that for Sasahara. He's not going to finish 2nd now, and he's tumbling down the order. I wonder if he's stalled his car or if he's just waiting for everybody to pass. It looks as if he's got it going, and he's on a bit of a downhill slope there, so he should be able to get going, but this is disaster for Sasahara. He was looking promising there, looking as if he was going to make a move up the inside of Joey Alders, but just as I was saying that Joey Alders' tyres might be going off, Sasahara spinning as well. And I wonder actually if the rain is coming down, and that's why everybody is slowing down, because the yellow and orange striped flag, we just saw the marshals waving it there, and that means that there is a hazard on the track and the track is slippery. So perhaps, and that is Sasahara. Looks as if his race is run. Let's see the replay here. Now you see Joey Alders getting a little bit twitchy there, but Sasahara, just as he turns left, just loses the back end. He tries to catch the slide, but he can't do it. And that is very disappointing indeed there. Alders also got a bit of a slide on, but he managed to catch it. Sasahara went spinning like a top. And unfortunately, it looks as if the Japanese driver's race is run. The yellow flag's out in Sector 3. Presumably that is for Sasahara there. As we look at Devlin De Francesco, who now moves up into 3rd place. And now he's going to be challenging Joey Alders in the last few minutes of the race. Yu Kwai in 4th position as well. Just over 1.5 minutes still to go. So we should see the final lap board coming out fairly soon. There is De Francesco in 3rd place. He started 4th on the grid, now up into 3rd place and challenging Joey Alders for 2nd place. There it is, there's the battle for 2nd place. Joey Alders, Devlin De Francesco, and just behind them, Yu Kwai in 4th position as well. Jack Doohan still in the lead, and now with a lead of some 7.4 seconds over Joey Alders. So Jack Doohan, it does appear as if Jack Doohan has this race all sewn up. There's less than 1 minute to go now, as De Francesco still racing hard, pushing Joey Alders for 2nd position. Conditions obviously getting a bit more treacherous, and a little bit you can see Devlin De Francesco getting wide there. You just saw it looked like a little bit of spray coming off the rear tyres as they went through the right-hander there. So perhaps a little bit of rain. There you see the marshals holding the yellow and red striped flag. That means that there's a hazard on the track, and the track is slippery. And Jack Doohan, it looks as if he's really struggling to keep that car pointed in the right direction as he crosses the line. I should think there, yes, it's the final lap. You can see the last lap board being held up there. And that's another spin, and that is Alessio De Leda. And a big lock up there with his front left tyre. The Italian clearly struggling for grip, struggling to slow the car down, and he gets all crossed up. The back end comes loose. But it looks as if he's managed to keep the engine running, and he's managed to get it out of the grass. There you see confirmation that it is the last lap of the race here at Sepang. And Jack Doohan, this man, has led all the way from pole position. A very convincing victory indeed. Well, we shouldn't count our chickens, because there's still a bit of racing to go, and the conditions clearly getting a bit treacherous as Joey Alders locks up his front left as he struggles to slow the car down there. Devlin De Francesco in 3rd place. Look at Joey Alders weaving his wheel this way and that, desperately trying to keep his car pointing in a straight line. Look how hard he's working there, and you can see the spray now coming off the rear tyres. So it's obviously started to rain a little bit. As they go through the right-hander there, Joey Alders again with the slide, and Jack Doohan rather, sorry, not Mick Doohan, his illustrious father. Jack Doohan still in the lead, and Joey Alders still in 2nd place. De Francesco going through as Alders runs wide, clearly struggling for grip in these conditions, and Devlin De Francesco on the final lap moves up into 2nd position. That just shows you how tricky the conditions are out there today. Joey Alders running wide on the last lap, losing that 3rd position, and Devlin De Francesco says thank you very much. But of course it's not over yet. Still half a lap to go, and we never know what might happen. But Joey Alders will be very disappointed to lose that position just on the final lap. We saw him working very, very hard indeed to keep that car pointing in the right direction. Meanwhile, there is Jack Doohan going through the final hairpin, and he's struggling as well just to keep the car pointing in the right direction, but he's managed it. Jack Doohan comes around the final corner, crosses the line, and wins race 3 here at Sepang. And in 2nd place, it will be Devlin De Francesco coming through to take 2nd position. Joey Alders has to settle for 3rd place after running wide on that final lap. Yu Kwai takes 4th position, and Mazepin, we didn't see it, but he's moved up into 5th place. So Nikita Mazepin up into 5th place from 16th on the grid. A fantastic drive from the Russian. Jake Hughes takes 6th place. Daniel Sau in 7th. Jamie Chadwick finishes 8th. Tatiana Calderon is 9th. Tommy Smith just crosses the line in 10th place. And we're waiting for Pietro Fittipaldi, who will be coming through in 11th place. Alessio De Leda will be finishing 12th. Thomas Ludi in 13th. Paul Wong 14th. And Ukio Sasahara, after that unfortunate spin, down in 15th. But it's all about Jack Doohan today, the 16-year-old British driver, winning his first race of the 2020 F3 Asian Championship, winning race 3. The first driver other than Joey Alders to win a race so far this season, the Dutch driver having won race 1 on Friday and race 2 earlier this morning, but having to settle for 3rd place today. It looked as if Joey Alders would take 2nd, but he ran wide on that final lap, and allowing this man, Devlin De Francesco, to finish 2nd. And that is a welcome fillip for the Canadian driver, who started this morning's race on pole position, but then lost a whole heap of places on the opening few laps, struggled and ended up finishing down in 9th. So a much, much better race for De Francesco this time round, and he can enjoy his podium finish. Joey Alders, I don't think will be too downhearted with his 3rd place. He might have had 2nd if he hadn't spun on that final lap or run wide. And now let's see, this is what happened. Joey Alders struggling for grip. You see his hands get all crossed up. He runs wide, manages to keep it pointing in the right direction. He doesn't spin round like Ukio Sasahara did, so he manages to keep it going, but he loses that place to Devlin De Francesco. But nevertheless, Joey Alders still very much in the championship lead, and that will stand him in very good stead as we head to Dubai in January for races 4, 5 and 6 of this 2020 F3 Asian Championship. Jack Doohan, the British driver, enjoying himself a little bit there, getting the tail out. We saw a lot of drivers doing that, struggling for grip in these conditions. The back end of that car stepping out. And we will hear from Jack Doohan in Parc Ferme very shortly, along with Devlin De Francesco and Joey Alders. Jack Doohan will make up the podium, the top 3 drivers, and they all peel off into the pit lane now. A very good drive from Jack Doohan. This, of course, not his first time racing in Asia, not his first time in the F3 Asian Championship, because he finished last year's F3 Asian Championship in 2nd position. Also competed in the Asian Winter Series that preceded that championship, taking a couple of podium places across 3 races, and there he goes parking in that number 1 spot. A very good performance in very difficult conditions for Jack Doohan. There he is, clambering out of the car. A bit difficult to get out of the cars these days because they've got the halo device there. That's a safety device that features on a lot of single-seaters. But Doohan very, very happy with his win. That halo device there, designed to protect the driver, or to protect the driver in the event of an accident, to stop any piece of debris from entering into the cockpit and striking the driver's head. Lots of safety features on these cars. You see on Jack Doohan's shoulders there, attached to his helmet, that is the hands, head and neck support device, and that protects the driver in the event of an accident, stops them from getting whiplash, stops their head from going too far forward or too far back, and helps keep everything stable. And that's another safety feature that's been commonly used for most of the last 20 years in all forms of motorsport.
Porco spinto como un maialino.
Devlin De Francesco very happy with his afternoon's work. A much better showing from the Canadian driver with the Italian name. And we'll be hearing from the race winner, Jack Doohan, very shortly indeed. It'll be very interesting to see his comments. And let's go down to Feline, who's with Jack Doohan now.
Hey Jack, congratulations, and it seems like this weekend you collect a lot of valuable points. Tell us about this race.
You know, it was a good race. Happy with the pace, definitely. Conditions made it a bit more tricky towards the end, but you know, still happy to get the win. Lost a bit of points in race 2 due to a reason which a fair amount of other drivers had, but that's racing sometimes, and no, good points weekend.
Thank Thank you。那刚刚我问到 Jack 呢，他这个周呢，其实表现得非常不错，而且在最后一个回合拿到了冠军。那么他也提到，的确是因为这个赛道的这个情况非常的不稳定，一会儿在下雨，一会儿又是干燥的，所以说呢，对他来讲也非常的他也非常的高兴的能在这场比赛当中能够拿到一个非常不错的积分。不过呢，这就是比赛，所以说呢，我们持续关注。Back to you guys.
Yes, a much better showing from Jack Doohan this afternoon. He had a disappointing race this morning where he could only finish in 8th place, but a lights to flag victory here in race 3. Could not have wished for proceedings to go more smoothly. And we'll see Jack Doohan, Devlin De Francesco and Joey Alders on the podium very shortly to enjoy themselves. So 3 races gone in the 2020 F3 Asian Championship. 12 races still to go. The next 3 will be in Dubai on January the 10th and 11th. Then we head straight from Dubai to Abu Dhabi the following weekend, January 17th and 18th for round 3, races 7, 8 and 9. Then there's a bit of a break before we're back here in Sepang on February the 14th and 15th for races 10, 11 and 12. Then the final round of the 2020 F3 Asian Championship, February the 22nd and 23rd at the Buriram International Circuit in Thailand for races 13, 14 and 15. And one of the great things about this 2020 F3 Asian Championship, it's all over by February, and that means that the drivers can compete not only in this championship, but also in any other championship, as the European season of racing will get started in March or April. Of course, far too cold to be racing in Europe at this time of year in December, January, February. So a great opportunity for the drivers to come and keep their hand in, do some competitive racing over the winter months, and also gain those all-important FIA super license points. A lot of these young drivers will have designs on getting into Formula One, and one of the things you have to do in order to get to Formula One is gain super license. An FIA super license, you need 40 points over 3 years to qualify for an F1 racing super license, and the winner of the F3 Asian Championship will gain 18 points. So a fantastic way of accruing super license points. And of course, with this championship finishing in February, that means the drivers can compete in 2 different championships. And we'll go to the podium ceremony very shortly, where we will see Jack Doohan, Devlin De Francesco and Joey Alders on the podium, receiving their prizes and enjoying themselves and basking in the adulation of teams, mechanics, engineers and all the spectators here at Sepang this weekend. There is your race winner. There is Jack Doohan.
Second place, car number 17 from Absolute Racing, Devlin De Francesco. Third place, car number 23 from Blind Gas Racing, Joey Alders. Now it's my honor to invite Mr. Ong Mao Chai, Assistant to General Manager of Giti Tire Investment Company Limited, to present the trophy to the winners. Let's have group photo. One moment please, now let's welcome Master Cup winners. Winner of Master Cup, car number 9 from Black Gas Racing, Thomas Liudi. Now it's my honor to invite Mr. David Digalbi, General Manager of Top Speed Shanghai Limited, to present the trophy to Master Cup. Now let's have another group photo. Now we have been waiting for, it is shopping time!
And Jack Doohan enjoying himself on the podium there, as well he might, after a fantastic win. Congratulations also to Thomas Ludi, who won in the Masters category. Let's have a quick look at the highlights from this afternoon's race. So a fantastic win for Jack Doohan. From pole position, he led all the way, was never seriously threatened, and Jack Doohan takes the win in race 3 of the 2020 F3 Asian Championship. Devlin DeFrancesco taking second place, and Joey Alders slipping down to third place on that final lap after running wide, allowing DeFrancesco through. And we'll be hearing from the top 3 drivers in the press conference very shortly indeed.
Congratulations to the podium finishers. Jack, starting with you, congratulations, first place, pole to flag finish. Can you tell us about your race and the conditions out there?
Yeah, well, obviously good to finish on the top step again. I underestimated the start a bit. I thought it was going to be slipperier than it was, so I didn't really get the launch that I probably could have, but still was good enough to get away from the rest. And then, you know, pace was good for the first 5-6 laps. I was able to then kind of get into a rhythm and try not to stress the tyre too much. And then obviously the sprinkles, those constant sprinkles are out since the start of the race, but it started to get heavier and heavier. So I kept pushing to an extent because I know I saw Joey made a mistake, and I still had limit in the bag, and I wanted to try and extend the lead. And then I got to a point where my engineer had to keep telling me to try and back off the pace because I had a bit of a margin. So the last 3 laps I tried to just keep it cool as the conditions got worse. A few unexpected moments, but other than that, you know, happy to.
Yeah, especially the last corner. I mean, that was what happened there.
Yeah, no, I broke fairly early and then didn't really have enough pressure and was trying to just trail the brake into the corner, not to lock anything up, and yeah, just a little bit too much speed and the car snapped, but luckily I was able to save it and with a big enough margin behind, so yeah.
All right, one more question. You had some troubles this weekend. It wasn't like all plain sailing. Overall, how do you go away from this weekend, your overall feeling?
You know, I think it could have been definitely a lot better. Limited mileage on Friday, going straight into quali, and then an issue that a few drivers had before in race 2 made it also a very difficult race. So that wasn't perfect, but you know, that's how it is sometimes. I guess if it was on the other shoe, it would be the same. So we'll just keep going, valuable points. So it's only round 1.
All right, thank you very much. Devlin, tell us about your race and you know the track conditions were kept on changing, and how did that help your car? Was your car getting better towards the ends or worse?
Well, it was definitely quite hectic. You know, being on the left side made the start quite difficult. I must have dropped back to about 7/8 on the first lap. And after, it was just, you know, pushing like a madman to recover. Made some quite good moves, was able to come back through, and the speed was actually got better and better towards the end as the conditions got worse. Was taking a lot of risk, but overall the balance was very good, and I knew I had to recover from race 2 after the difficulties that a few drivers had there. But nice to come back with a podium and finish on a high, especially since starting 4th.
All right, thank you very much. Joey, 3 podiums out of 3. Congratulations. I think an amazing job.
Thank you.
Tell us about your race, and can you tell us what happened in T9 in the last lap?
So yeah, the start was good. Starting on the right side, the left side was quite wet due to the overhang from the stadium. So I was lucky there. I had a good start. Had to start P2. And yeah, the final lap, turn 9, there was yellow flag there in the corner. So I knew I couldn't be overtaken, so I took a wide line to get a good exit. And then he came on the inside, so we'll see after that how that goes. But yeah, overall good race, tricky conditions. It was really difficult to get close to Jack. Jack was especially in the beginning really quick. I think in the formation lap he did a really good job on warming up the tires. Get a good pace in the beginning. During halfway through the race I got quite the same gap, and then after that it started raining like massive, and then it was just praying to keep the grip and keep it on track. So yeah, it was an exciting race, but difficult one for sure.
All right, thank you very much. Thomas, congratulations, another win. Tell us about your race. How was it out there in the mixed conditions?
It was pretty tough with my limited experience in the rain, and Paul drove into me in like the 4th or 5th lap, so my steering was off. So I just tried to get the car home and was happy to finish.
All right, thank you very much. All right, group photo.